Hey everyone, welcome back to Bros and Shows. I am your host, Josiah, aka Mauler67, and with me, as always, you know I got my buddy, I got my pal, I got my brother Austin. Austin, how you doing today?
Pretty good.
You doing pretty good. That's good to hear, man. That's good to hear. Not too bad. Anything fun or interesting going on in your life since last we spoke?
My hair's gone.
I saw that. I definitely saw that. And I will click over so everyone can see. Awesome. Him and his glorious bald head.
I am Walter Heldar White. I live at 3 Allura Lane.
Yeah, you know.
Oh, man.
Looking over here like the discount version of Walter White.
I am the discount version. I'm the Dollar Tree version of Walter White.
Instead of packing the blue gem, you're packing those quartz. You want some of the good stuff.
You got some of those quartz or those rubies?
I'm just going to be enjoyable and great. Well, Austin, no, man. Saw you this weekend.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, that is. You came up to the house. You enjoyed a concert. We went to Breaking Benjamin.
It's the hair. It's the hair.
It is, yeah. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, we got to
Do you have a fedora? You should get that.
Saw Breaking Benjamin and we saw Disturbed. And a band called Gingy. I think that's the name. Ginger.
It's a Ukrainian. It's either metal or death metal. It's one of those.
Yeah, something like that.
The thing that blew my mind about that band, and I remember discussing it, and I will say here, like, it's solid music if it's your style of music. What blew my mind is that listening to them, I did not know that the female vocalist did both the singing aspect and the screaming aspect, and they sound drastically different. It was mind-blowing to me whenever I realized it. And that will forever be in my head. I'm just like, that's on me for not thinking. It's not even like that it was possible. It's just like, it's like the equivalent of the tone change whenever voice actors take on, you know, like you hear a voice from one character and like a really good voice actor will completely change their voice for another.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, that doesn't seem human. Like, it was kind of like that Lynn, how she jumped between the two different afflictions so quick and seamlessly. Blew my mind each time. So I was pretty that was a pretty big surprise for me personally. And what can you do? But no, that was fun. We also played some Lorcana, the new Disney game. I'm still over here being like, I don't know about this. But then we also hung out a lot.
Yeah.
And that was cool. That was great. And had fun. And then after you left, I reverted back to playing Baldur's Gate all day. And also now there's a new game that came out on Tuesday. I've been playing it nonstop now, called Sea of Stars. It's
I've heard about it. Yeah.
It's on Steam now. If you are a fan of, we'll say, it's kind of a mixed bag of a game. Very Chrono Trigger like if you like Chrono Trigger, it's the art style and the battle mechanics of Chrono Trigger. But then there's other things from like other famous JRPGs and everything like that are just kind of like consistent and just well done throughout the whole thing of it. For instance, one of the thing that it does is there's active time button presses. There's active time presses whenever you attack. So it's kind of like Legend of Dragoon-esque, where you have to time attacking and blocking. And then like different powers or spells or power will also require you to either hold the A button until it's fully charged or time the A button during different presses. And I just started, I'm not that far in. I say that, I'm only leveled like 11 in the game, but I've already put in like 8-10 hours plus into it. And that's all I'm at. And I'm like, if the game's long, I'm going to be surprised, because there's a lot of like elements like that I kind of enjoy. But being that it is an indie title, it's not created by a company they do some of the indie tropes that are anti-meta joke tropes. Like there's a character who will like sit there and say like meta breaking stuff, like, oh, what did you expect to find a blacksmith in every single area that progressively gets stronger with each area that you come and visit? That's unreasonable. Why would you ever think that? Or like, oh, did you think that this was going to be a situation where your master turned out to be the bad guy and he betrays you in the end? It's like, come on, like that's super, like, it's like, I get it, yeah, you know, a lot of games have those trope systems and you kind of name them off. And then there was even a character who was trying to act like, I'll reveal my secret, and they're like, freaking, we already knew. It was super, like, everyone knew, it was obvious, like, come on, like, we're not dumb. So there's a lot of those things. Sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're just kind of like, yeah, I get it, yeah. But it was backed on Patreon, or not Patreon, Kickstarter. Okay. And there's a place in the game called the Crypts that has everyone who donated in it as like mausoleums for each individual person. And depending on their tier list is the size of their statue. And if you go to the first tier list of the first people who gave, at the very end of it, and you look, they have 3 big statues, and one was very like adorable and sweet, and it made me kind of tear up because it was like, I can't tell if it was a family giving it to their daughter who passed away or something like that. It gave off that vibe. It was very sweet. It's like an elephant. It's like you'll continue to live on. And then there was also another one of this guy who was tall, lanky, with the peace sign, and it says, "This world is made of love and peace." And if you are a fan of Trigun, that's Vash's quote. Yep. And I saw that and I laughed. Also, do you know who the completionist is?
I've heard of him.
He's a YouTuber named Gerard. He's also in the game as a NPC named Gerard the Constructionist, not the Completionist. And he like builds like a city or something like that. So yeah, I've been enjoying the game. It's really fun. It's pretty solid. It's only $30 right now, I think, because it's on sale for the first week that it's out. And yeah, I've been playing that. It's perfect on Steam Deck is how I've been playing it. I've been laying in bed and playing that whenever I get tired of sitting in my chair because my back's still hurting a little bit. So I sit up, play Baldur's Gate the best I can, lay down, play Sea of Stars the best I can. All while watching the TV shows off to the side. Been catching up on a lot of things. Also been rewatching a lot of tabletop as well. Because that I have that thing. I don't know if it's like an ism or whatnot. Like I've heard people equate it to that, where it's like there will be times in my life where I cannot acquire new information by what information be presented to me. So I just rewatch the same show over and over again. I've watched every season of Tabletop since I've been on vacation 5 times over. It's been running 24/7 in the background.
Oh wow.
And then occasionally I'll switch it off to like the 50th time of me rewatching Markiplier and his friends play Phasmophobia or anything really. So that's been my week, Austin, just playing games, enjoying it. And then today I took the time to rewatch Steven Universe Season 3. And I'll be honest here, Austin, a lot more happened this season than I thought it did.
Yeah.
Because this was around the time that Steven Universe was doing... they weren't dropping every episode. They were doing like 10 episodes here in 3 months, then 10 more episodes here, and then 3 months, and then 6 episodes here, and so on and so forth. So a lot of these things, I remember watching them as they came out. And when I say watching them as they came out, I was a poor college student at the time. So I was watching bootleg YouTube videos where someone has split them up into 3 episodes in order to get past the YouTube censors when I was in college to watch these episodes. And I didn't realize all this stuff happened in season 3. And that caught me off guard. I was surprised. I was not prepared to talk about certain things that got shown in this season. I thought they happened later, but what can you do? Well, Austin, with that being said, what did you think of season 3?
So last week we did season 2, and I talked about how like I wasn't a fan of season 1, and season 2 started picking up. I think this season was a lot more in depth of the lore of Steven, pretty much Steven Universe. It was more of like connecting with certain characters and getting to know some backgrounds about certain characters. We found out like Amethyst was supposed to be Jasper almost.
Yeah, she was meant. She's a warrior gem.
Yeah,
she's meant to be a fighter,
like huge and big. And then we also see, we finally get to see what the whole what was it, I forget what they call it. It's the thing that's in the middle of the earth. It's like
cluster. The
cluster. Yeah, the cluster. So, we got to see, what that was all about. And I think I have a theory on like what it's about later now. Mm-hmm. But we also got to see characters that like, we also got to see like Steven like develop more of his powers and start knowing some of his powers.
Yeah.
And there's actually an episode where I laughed at because this person must be a fan of the 80s because which you can kind of tell with the show and how it's like colored and stuff. She's a fan.
You get the whole gem. You get the whole gem thing, right?
Yeah.
Steven and the crystal gem. Yeah.
Gem. But we got to see a whole bunch of crazy stuff this season that totally made a lot of sense. And then there's also a lot of open-ended questions that I have that will probably be answered, of course. But overall, I think this season was pretty solid. I watched it and I didn't feel like there was any filler really or anything like that. It was more of like, there was one episode I considered filler, but really in reality, nothing really too bad. Like, I just think,
what's interesting is that the show does this thing, and I keep mentioning it anytime it kind of comes up, where episodes will come up and you'll be like, this is a filler episode. And then next season, you're like, remember that filler episode? It wasn't a filler episode. It's like, okay. Because we had one of those situations with the first season with the centipede, right? The little episode where Steven like becomes best friend with a little centipede. And you're like, oh, this is nothing. Like, it's just Steven trying to become friends with one of the gems. Like the little centipede thing. And then it comes back and you learn its whole backstory. And you learn that, like, yeah, these corrupted gems, these, like, mutated gems that are being, like, all over Earth, they have their memories. They're not, like... They're not these mindless drones. They have their own thing. Mm-hmm. So, you're very much right. Like, a lot of times you're like, it's filler. Or is it?
Yeah, and there's some really good episodes. There's a lot of standout episodes in this season that I really thoroughly enjoyed. And the message behind these episodes are really well done. Like, it's not like too much in your face, but it kind of just tells you what it is. It's like, hey, this is, what's going on with this person or which character is going through this, and like it's everyday things that people do go through that you can kind of tell that they're alluding to, but there was a lot of great episodes. I like this season. This is probably my favorite season so far I've watched.
Like I said, there was a lot more to this season than I thought it was. I thought this season was going to end at like what was it? I'm trying to like look through the season real quickly, and to be fair, I knew Mr. Greg was in this season. I knew this for a fact. Love that episode. I thought it was going to end with the whole cluster end, which it kind of gets wrapped up around like what? Episode 6? It's like really early in the season, and that's what caught me off guard.
Yeah, it was like episode 6 they stopped that because that's Gem Drill.
Yep. And it just kept going. I was like, what? Where does this end at? And then I saw when it ended with like the whole Jasper arc, and my brain went, gosh, I forgot how stressful that arc was in different regards because of like different characters.
Yeah, there is some things I do have a problem with the show sometimes, and it is how they end episodes on seasons. I feel like some episodes should have just been the season ending, and then some shouldn't have been. Like I feel like season 1 had a terrible like ending for like season 1.
If I remember correctly, you said that
it.
it should have been like 2 episodes earlier after.
Yeah, it should have been 2 episodes earlier, and I think season 2 did the same thing. I don't remember.
Season 2 ended with The Answer with Garnet.
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think that episode. I think actually, the episode that I think it should have ended with is actually when. Wow, I always forget her name.
Jasper. The orange
no,
one?
Not Jasper. No, the green one.
Oh, Peridot.
When Peridot becomes like kind of good in a way, I think they should have ended it that way in a way, or setting up for the drill. I think would have been a great ending for season 2. But I understand people really want conclusions to certain things, so like they're like, we need to know conclusions at the end of the storyline. But this season actually was okay. I was okay with the ending that happened here, but I think that there should have been an episode that should have ended this season. And I think it would have done really well, which is actually my favorite episode of the season. But yeah, it's still like that. If that's the complaint I have, that means this is a good show. Like, it's still solid. Like the
so you know what's funny? Retroactively looking at it, because that's the thing. I got to rewatch. I've been rewatching these with the mindset of what I already know what's coming out, and people's reaction on things makes so much more sense knowing the ending. Yeah. Like when whenever we see Yellow Diamond for the first time, and she's very like cold, hard, like straight to the point, and Peridot doesn't understand, and she's like, you're illogical, your understanding is wrong, you're stupid for thinking this. And it's like, it's funny because I understand why she thought that way. Amethyst and like the audience's reaction in that moment is much more of like, oh, evil benevolent ruler wants to destroy the earth to get this like super weapon. That's how it looks, right? And it's like, well, there's a little more to it, and it's twisted a little way, and you can tell whenever she reacts to certain things. And then same thing with like Mr. Greg episode. Side note, my favorite episode of the season is Mr. Greg. I'm a big stickler for like musical episodes. Whenever shows like do them and they're good, I will put those songs on a playlist of just of musical episodes, because I did it with Psych. Psych does a Christmas episode where it's a musical, or was it? No, it's just Psych the musical. That's what it is. And I love the episode. I'm like, yay! I love all these small individual songs. And Mr. Greg was no different from that. And I still think it was only a 15-minute long episode, and it got so much across within that time.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things that it's like looking back and seeing how certain things happen, and how it kind of flicks and changed. It's noticeable, right? And I start seeing things from the start, beginning, end, and different other things, and it's a much different ride rewatching it, knowing the background and story and everything, than watching it on the first time and like piecing things together. Because at this point, Austin, this was the season where I dived into the Steven Universe like fan theories type deal thing, because there's a lot of theory information given throughout this.
Yeah.
We get to see like so many things that we never saw before. We get to meet actual homeworld gems who like talk and explain. There's the whole theory of like brainwash going on.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of it, and it's honestly it's kind of insane to rewatch and see how much is given and shown each season. Whenever I remember this coming out, it was months in between like these gaps, and people just had like I think if I remember correctly, episode 1 through 10 came out, and then there was like a couple episode hiatus, and then 11 through 20 came out, and then there was a couple episode hiatus, and then the rest of it came out. And whenever you have those little gaps in between, fan theories just go nuts. Like every day there was a new fan theory about like freaking what's corruption? What's the song? Like everyone keeps mentioning a song. Like what's the light? What's this? What's that? Oh, this ruby had one eye. This ruby was was mentioned in Lapris's backstory. Like it's all these different things that people keep bringing up, and it's just it's so weird to get all that information fed without having those like crazy theories in the background. It's very similar to how we were with Game of Thrones in like season 6, 7, and 8. Like every season would come out and we'd be sitting there being like, no man, totally it's going to be like this, and then it's completely different, and then we get upset and angry because they butcher it, and you're like, no.
Yeah, and the thing is like I've had series like that where like I've, like Better Call Saul was one of those too. But the thing is, it's like it is interesting to go back and watch something after you know the ending and see like, oh wow, what was really there. And you're like, oh, it was there. Like, Futurama is a perfect example.
Yeah.
The first episode has a future reference in later seasons
with like Nibbler.
Yeah. And like the thing is like I like shows like that where there is a theory or there's like an overarching like this conspiracy going on. And I'm okay with it. I'm thoroughly enjoying season 3. I'm actually excited to see season 4. I was actually faked out today because I was like, oh, and I went down Hulu and I was like, how many episodes I got left? And I was like, oh wow, I got like 6 episodes. I was like, yeah, I'll just blow through these. And I looked and I was like, wait, there's an episode 23? I was like, I thought it said 22. And then I realized I didn't like scroll down long enough, and I was like, "There's 28 episodes."
I did the exact same freaking thing today, dude. I did, because I was like rewatching, and I was like, "Oh, I'm on episode 14. Oh, okay." Click back, and it's like, "Oh, it's only 16 episodes." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's fine. It's not that long." And then all of a sudden, I'm at 21. I was like, "Is this part of this?" That's why I mentioned beforehand, where I was like, "Wait, this is part of season 3." It's a culture shock. I just didn't know that so much was shown. Like we get so much in this season, and it's so crazy because like taking it for what it is, we see a lot of like first times in this season, right? We see Steven fuse with a crystal gem for the first time. We see Steven and Connie officially fuse in a combat capacity when they are fighting Jasper. We see
and they're you can consider that a fight, but the car drifting stuff.
The Tokyo Drift. Yeah. That is the episode that I could label as a filler episode. Except the only issue is episode. Well, the issue is that it builds the tension between Connie and Steven that like makes them harder to fuse again, right? Yeah. Like that is the big thing about this show that they really hit on, is this concept of like fusion requires indomitable trust or some form of strong emotion to bind things together. Because we see with Jasper and Lapis, where it's like they bonded over the hate, and Lapis used that to protect and like control Jasper. But then once the hate got too much for Lapis, she couldn't control Jasper anymore, and now it became much more of a like what's the term? Like an abusive relationship, essentially. Like they are forced together for the betterment of something. And Austin, you mentioned before, and I want to put this in your head so you see this, right? Because retroactively watching all these seasons, I realize why the seasons end in the weird way that they do. And it's because the last 2 episodes of every season are preliminaries for what the next season's going to be about. And it's something that I realized when watching it. Like, season 1, we get the ending of it. And at the end, we have, like, the Joyride Kanye episode. The whole episode is this idea about humans and gems and, like, what it means together. Further on to season 2, where you have them all kind of, like, sitting there and worrying about, like, the fusion system and everything of that sort. And the last 2 seasons is about the idea of like forcing or being together. What does a fusion do or necessarily like mean? Then you have season 3. The whole season is littered with this idea of forced fusions, and what does that mean? You have the cluster, who is in all regards a absolute cluster of people being forced to be together. You have Lapis and Jasper, who were forced to be together. And then you also have other gems who are like trying to figure out what it means. And then you have literal Jasper over here forcing herself into a fusion with corrupted gems that have ultimately altered her now. Like, she is broken.
Yeah.
And it's this idea. And then the last 2 episodes of this season are a precursor for what the next season is going to be more about. And I'm not going to say more about that. I'm just going to say, like, if you rewatch the last 2 episodes, you could make a guess on what the next season is going to be a little bit more about. Granted, the whole season, you could get that. And I don't know, like, rewatching that and realizing that, I was like, okay, I get why they did it. I think for your mind, Austin, you would probably like it better if they just moved those last 2 episodes to the next season. Just begin this the season with those next 2. Yeah. That's how you would naturally go. And I think if this wasn't a show, like a cartoon show, and was actually like a primetime show where they did like the end of the season finale is like a big season finale, they would do that.
Yeah.
But because it's a cartoon show and they're rarely shown in like connection to each other, they had a little more like lead up to the next season. At least that's my thought process. That's why I view and that's why I see. I mean,
yeah.
Man. Well, okay, Austin. Let's talk about season 3. What was your favorite episode this season? You said there was a lot of good episodes. I want to know like what, like if you have a couple favorite episodes, like you can break it down why you like the episode. Perfect.
There's one that's one of my favorite episodes.
Sure.
But I'm going to talk about a couple episodes that I thought were really, really well done. The baseball episode.
You like the
was
baseball
phenomenal.
episode?
I loved it so much. Hit the Diamond is it's just a fun little episode. It didn't really mean anything. It was just fun. Mr. Greg was phenomenal. I really enjoyed that, and because my favorite character's in it, and I think she did really well. And then we find out like there's some tension between her and Greg, and it's like, like when she was like, I should have never came here in the first place, and Steven's like, no, this is why I wanted you to come.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, he was behind it all along, Mr. Steven.
The Mr. Greg episode is the perfect synopsis of the idea of 2 like parents essentially who not even 2 parents. It is the definition of like a mom and a dad and the ex-lover, right?
Yeah.
The mom's gone and now it's the kid, it's the dad and the ex-lover, and they want to be present for the kid's life. But they resent each other. Well, more Pearl resents Greg. Because she got torn away from Rose, And it's like the song, every time Steven gets on that piano and starts playing and he says, why don't you talk to each other? And he goes into this whole song. And then at the end point, he's just like, you both love me and I love both of you. Oh, gets my heart every time, man. I just cannot handle it. I'm like, I almost teared up just like saying that right there. And because it's like, that's the legit feeling of a kid who lives in like a broken household, like in a divorced household or a lost household, where it's just like, why can't they both love each other because they love me, right? And they need to talk it out. They need to figure it out. Because the only reason why there are resentment, there is issues there, is because they haven't talked about it. It was something, because like the funny thing is like you can look at it as Pearl being the person who has resentment toward Greg. Greg has issues with like communication, like he doesn't like to talk about the issues as well. Like he avoids things. That's how he deals with the issues. Like there's plenty of times that Greg could have explained to Steven why Pearl is the way she is towards him. There's plenty of times that Pearl could have done, but they both choose not to, and they just avoid the issue, and it causes this rift that hurts Steven as an individual. And that's rough, man. Like, oh, it's such a good episode, man. And every time, like, I remember being at work, and this wasn't even like back when I was earning burgers. This was me at like the bank, sitting there working on the machine, listening to the song, and the song would come on, and I would just start crying, and I would like get up, run to the bathroom, just because like I'm like, it just has awoken something in me. I don't know, it's just a magic trigger the second that boy starts talking. And have you, so you know the creator of the show, right? You know who
Rebecca Sugar.
Yeah. Do you know who she is?
I looked up a little bit about her, but I didn't look up too much.
she's kind of like a lot of people consider her very prolific in the animation fields because she's very good at writing songs, like emotional songs. Mm-hmm. She wrote multiple songs for Adventure Time. She's done songs for Ice King and Marceline, some that people consider their best songs, right? And so she infused the song into her show. Each of the crystal gems and each of the different characters have an instrument that plays when they do stuff. Mm-hmm. Rose has, I believe it's either, I forget what they all are, but they all have an instrument. I think Pearl has string instruments. Garnet has like synth instrument. Amethyst has like a bass or something like that. Steven has the ukulele. Connie has the violin. And it's like all these different ones. And during that episode of Mr. Greg, those instruments are present for each of the individual characters. But there's a special one that is shown in that episode. And that is when Molly comes up and just shoves her butt in my camera. No, there's a special one. When Steven starts playing on the piano, you hear Rose's instruments instead of just Steven. And there's a specific lyrics is just like, you both love me and I love both of you. When I watched that the first time, everyone believes and agrees, or thinks at least, that there is a point in that song where Rose's voice is dubbed over Steven. And it's actually Rose singing it to them. And it just hits so harder. Like, Molly, I love you. Stop eating my food. It's just so great. The show does a lot of things like that, and I absolutely love. And it's one of the things that gets me. Sorry, I didn't mean to like take control. The Mr. Greg episode was fantastic. I'm pretty sure it won rewards. I'm not sure. Okay, awesome. What else? What other episodes?
There's another episode that I thoroughly enjoyed, but then I was also a little bit confused about the new Lars episode where Steven actually falls asleep and he goes into Lars's mind. The part where Lars gets out of bed, and I was like, that is a butt. They drew a butt for Cartoon Network. Like that's why I was like, I'm confused. I was like, this is a kid show, and they're like, but I thoroughly enjoyed that episode, and I really, man, I feel so bad for Sadie. I think Sadie's like my second favorite character. She's like this really nice lady that just deserves everything she should get, and she's not getting it. And then when she does get it and she thinks she's getting it, it's kind of like, no, not really. Except for the end of that episode. The end of the episode, Lars actually decides, hey, do you want to hang out and watch a movie? And I was like, good for you. Like that's good that you're starting to realize who's really important in your life, instead of like running after a tread or trying to be cool. I thoroughly enjoyed that episode. Now this is funny. So I'm going to bring this up, and this is ridiculous. So about a couple days before I saw you, actually it was that Friday. Friday night, my Facebook pinged me, and I'm part of a group called Class of '08, which is the year I graduated. And someone was like, hey, I know it's been a while, we haven't got together, guys. Like, is it, are you guys interested in getting together? And I forgot that I was the Class of '08 because I just forgot about high school. And I was like, oh my gosh. I commented back and said, oh my gosh. The only way I'm going to come is if we have a pillow fort. And
did you actually said that?
Yeah, I said that. I was like, the only way I'll come is if we have a pillow fort. And I was like, that's weird. And then the first thing that popped in my head was Community, the episode of the pillows and the blanket forts. And then what's really funny is what was it? We were talking about that episode or something. Someone brought up that episode of the Pillow Forts episode. And I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty funny. And then next day, I watched Restaurant Wars. And the whole concept of it is like, you know, one does French fries, the other one does pizza, and there's like a treaty and it's been broken, and like they go at each other and they start doing this like different things. They do the same thing, and for some odd reason that brought me back to the Pillow Fort and the blanket episode. I thought that was exactly like that Community episode. I was like, this is it. This is equal to the Pillow Fort and Blanket Fort episodes of Community. This episode right here, and I really thoroughly enjoyed that episode. It was just fun. I didn't have to like really watch too much about it. It was just fun, and I laughed. I even though like there was a lot of things that I knew that were gonna happen, like especially Raldo's girlfriend showing up and ruin it. Yeah. I kind of knew that was gonna happen. I was like, yeah, this is gonna like it's gonna be flat in their face. But what I want to bring up is Kiki's Pizza Delivery Service, which is funny because it's a run on Kiki's Delivery Service. Yeah, yep. But the thing that I laughed so hard at, and I said, that woman is a fan of the 80s. So the episode is like Steven going into Kiki's dream, you know, and helping her with the pizza dream. He puts a bandana on himself, and do you remember what he says?
No, I just remember him doing like different little like, well, he says Dream Warriors right before he goes in. Yeah.
So Dream Warriors with the bandana and how he screamed it is from a movie that is super popular that a lot of like 80s horror fans know, and it is Friday it's Nightmare on Elm Street, and I think it was like 4 or 5 called Dream Warriors. And there's a character that has the bandana, and when he was like, Dream Warriors, I was like, stop it. I was like,
I didn't know that. I'll be honest, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool, like that callback.
So you say that, right? She is an absolute fan. Like, she grew up in the 80s and 90s and whatnot. Yeah. And so she has a lot of those fandoms. I know a lot of people made those, like, because, you know, I mentioned before about how Pearl is very much built upon the General Utena or Lei Utena series or whatever. I forget what it's called, but it's by the person who made the Sailor Moon. And you can look and you see her and you're like, okay, very obvious. You know? So that doesn't surprise me at all.
The first time I ever saw her on screen, she actually reminded me of a villain in Cuphead.
Oh, really?
Because of how the noise and everything.
Oh, you know what? I know. Is it the flower?
The moon.
Oh, the moon. Okay.
Yeah, the moon. The moon. I was like, is that the moon from Cuphead?
It's the moon. They're connected.
So now I'm going to talk about the 2 episodes, and I'm going to say this. I knew this was going to happen because me and you have like some form of like connection with like certain things that trigger us.
Well, we grew up together, Austin.
Yeah. Well, triggering us in emotions.
Yeah, we grew up together, Austin.
Yeah, we grew up together, you know.
My emotions were molded and created the same way yours were. Just a little bit differently.
Well, you know, and the thing is, it's like these 2 episodes I'm going to talk about are episodes that I actually cried. I actually shed a tear for it, and I thought it was like great. And the episode is Monster Reunion. Yep. The ending to that was perfecto. You know, just watching the Centipede. You know, just wanted to go back to her ship to be with her crew, and Steven helping her through that, and then them allowing them to live out that life in that ship was just so well done. Like, I was like, this is emotionally driven, and it was a great emotionally driven episode. Like, it was written properly, and like you felt bad for this. And when she did like the drawings and they were showing the drawings and everything, it like kind of got to me a little bit. I was like, wow, you know, like picture like, you know, that happening to someone that you love, you know, like you're being separated, you don't know where they are, then you're waking up and you're like a totally different person that you're not really who you were before. You know, so like I kind of was like, oh, okay. But the ending was like beautiful. It was just something that had a closure on it that I really really cared about. You know, it kind of like defined Steven as a person that, you know, is willing to do the hard things to make things good. And like that's what I liked about that episode. Now, my favorite episode this season is called Bismuth.
Bismuth.
Yeah.
Okay,
Bismuth
that was an episode
phenomenal.
that I was surprised that was in this season. I thought it happened later. I also forgot that was a special. That was I think on this it was 30 minutes, but on like TV it was 45 minutes long, with commercials and everything. It was a 30-minute episode. It kind of catches you off guard when you're not expecting it, right?
Yeah. It was. I didn't expect anything that came out of that episode, but I really thoroughly enjoyed it because it showed the growth that Steven has came to be, kind of like his mom in a way. But when, it kind of brings this, see, the thing is that I had with the show was there was this thing where it's like, oh, well, if they die, they just become their gem again. And it's like, oh, there's no like really repercussion, except, maybe shattering it a little bit. But now you have someone that can fix that shit. I was like,
yeah, like, oh, Steven can fix that.
Yeah, Steven can fix that. So like, I was like, it didn't make sense to me about that. So, the best part about it was now we have something that someone invented that can destroy gems, like completely obliterate them.
Shatter it, like beyond recognition.
Non-existence, and like it was just something that like, she, like when she stated, she's like, this could have ended the war, and like if Rose would have let me and stuff. And Steven like trying to reconcile and be like, no, don't do this. This isn't right. It's not what we want. We're not like them. Let's not be like them. Brought a lot of character development to Steven to realize that, even though the people that you trust the most and the people that you do trust that you think are good can also have bad things and their characteristics that can change a lot of things. And I thought that was a great episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was, and I like the whole part where like she was like, yeah, we should spar before every battle, and then like Steven's like, nah, I kind of just want to like do my own rituals, so like he's like playing cards and like all this other stuff. But the whole concept and like what I've had as the caption for the promotion of this episode was, that's not what a real crystal gem would do. And that's what Steven says when he says, I don't want to destroy anyone like that. Like, I'm okay with defending evil and defending myself, but wiping something off of the existence is just not my moral code. So I really enjoyed that episode a lot. So, but yeah, that's one of the episodes I really
that
enjoyed.
episode was a theory and a half before it came out.
Oh yeah.
So in season 1, I think it was, whenever we first get introduced to Lion and we see the little like tree that's in the savannah, right? And Steven is like looking through all this stuff. People froze that. And in that scene, we saw a bubble that had bismuth in it from all the way back in season 1. Yeah. And I remember whenever people saw that, there's so many theories going around, right? And people saw that and they're like, that's a bismuth. And that like all these people being like, bismuth is bubbled inside Rose. Why is bismuth bubbled inside Rose? And there was a lot of people being like, bismuth is actually a super weapon. Because unlike all the other gems at that point in time, bismuth isn't a true gem. Bismuth is like a chemical reaction that is done in the earth that creates bismuth. It's not like a true gem where it's like compressed or whatnot over however do it. So there's theories going around that bismuth was actually like a super weapon created that Rose used during the war that won them the war. And she bubbled it out of fear of what it could do, and that's why she kept it in Lion. And there was like theories going hardcore like that. There was theories all over the place with bismuth. Like no one knew. And then whenever Steven pops bismuth, and we got told, right? There was an episode where it's like, this episode's coming out and it's called Bismuth. Freaking everyone lost their crap. I remember like people all over, my friends were like messing me and was like, dude, did you see the new Bismuth? Oh man, I just remember that and watching that episode and being so shocked because that's the first time in like we've heard like the up to that point, the darkest thing we were told is like, oh, shattered gems being forced to fuse. That's dark. And then you learn, like, they're actually able to easily shatter each other. It's something like, oh, weapons kind of stop and do, like, you see Jasper in the season pop Amethyst, and she's holding her, and she's like, now to get, like, she's like, I'm gonna get rid of you permanently, and she starts squeezing, and that's when Stefani comes in and stops her. And in the Bismuth episode, we see that Bismuth made that super weapon to shatter gems, and so you had a lot of people who were like on the Bismuth is a super weapon train going like, we called it 100%, we were right the whole time. And they're like, well, it wasn't exactly what y'all said. And it also puts into like different perspectives of things. So man, I have to be really careful with my words right now because I don't want to break anything. Austin,
yeah,
what has Jasper explained for her hatred towards Steven? Has she explained anything? I can't remember if she says anything.
Well, the only thing she explained is kind of like Steven, she still thinks that Steven's still rose quartz, and she'll always be that way, but she killed has murdered her society, her original family and stuff, or she took something from them. I don't know. That's what they kind of explained.
I'm trying to remember if she uses the term I'm thinking. Freak! There's no easy way for me to like search.
Well, like destroyed or like obliterated.
Yeah, that's not even the term. I'm trying to see if she uses a specific term. Austin, we were told about the diamonds, right? What diamonds were we told about?
Only yellow.
Only yellow. Okay.
Only yellow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because well, we know a couple because we saw during the episode in the moon base, they point out blue diamond and yellow diamond are the two they did. And here's the thing, Austin. People, if you go back to the moon base episode, and this is another thing where people started freaking out about theories, right? Is on the moon base episode, whenever they're showing the diamonds and everything, you'll notice a pattern in the area, and it's 4 diamonds together, and it's a white one, a blue one, a yellow one,
purple one,
and a pink one.
Pink one, purple.
And those are the 4 diamonds, right? And people are like, there's 4 diamonds. There are 4 of them, and they're together, right? Theories go off the chain because of that chamber. And I will definitely say this: you want to be careful looking up any of the diamonds if you Google anything, because you mention a diamond and just non-stop spoilers come up now. So you just gotta be careful if you even search anything like that. But there's something that gets revealed. If it hasn't already got revealed, it gets revealed later. That puts into question more of what we know about Rose, and more importantly, about the crystal gems. Because you see all these corrupted gems around, right? They're all over the place. How? There's so many questions about that. Yeah. And they don't get explained until later on. And this was the season that people started doing all the like crazy theory crafting in this series. Because for instance, in the giant robot fight episode from last season, Pearl, and this was something that was brought up that they didn't have confirmation on, and we still don't have confirmation on it technically, but Pearl, in her like mecha suit, like in her mecha fight, she has a suit on, and the suit has a pink diamond on it. And so people were like, oh, what's this? She was like some type of like connected to this pink diamond. Then you also have Paradox. She has a yellow diamond. People were like, oh, okay, they're connected with this. Because of that, people started making gem hierarchy charts. Because we saw that yellow has Jasper, who has a yellow diamond on her as well. We see all the rubies that come to Earth also have a yellow diamond. And so everyone makes the theorem that yellow is in control of the military. Like the military-esque gems is what they're in control of. And it makes kind of sense, especially with how yellow kind of makes the statement in this season with like, I want my cluster. Like, she's like, I want my nuke. Give me my nuke. Like, that's basically what she says this season.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know, it's telling. It's like something like that. But yeah, like there's so many little hidden things like that. Like we don't see those little diamonds on any of the crystal gems anymore, at least. We still see it on Peridot, even though Peridot technically joined them. Question mark Lapis on the side as well, because she's growing. But there's like a lot of the stuff like that. Like, what is it?
Well, I have some theories of my own, and I haven't looked anything up, because I like to be surprised. But a couple things that I do have like a little hint on. After seeing Jasper become corrupt with a corrupt gem, it actually brings me to a point where there was something that was said in that episode where it's like we can't go after the diamonds because they have so many like armies.
Yeah, they have
and
armies.
I think that has to do with something with maybe them attacking them. If they do in the future, the cluster is going to be involved. And it kind of reminds me of like, what if, they fuse with like, something fuses with the cluster. And it's like this, like all these different gems get repaired, or Steven repairs them, because they're kind of like also hinting at like Steven's healing powers can like heal crack gems.
Yeah, heals the
not
crack.
corruption though.
Well, we actually see that it has it has some effect, at least, not like a perfect effect because of Centipede.
The Centipede. Yeah. So that's like something where I was like, okay, that's a little like that way. The other thing that I have is I also think that I might know who Rose Court is because of the bubble episode. Because
which bubble episode?
It was the season finale. It was the one where Ruby and Steven get stuck in the bubble. And he's like, I really wish I could meet Rose Quartz and stuff like that. But then also, Bismuth also mentions like he's like, yeah, you're better than your mom. And also too, she also says like, she's like, you're exactly like your mom. You look exactly alike. I think maybe, and she said it to Steven. She said, Rose was the person that told us that it was okay to be yourself and you don't have to just take orders the whole time. And so when that was said, after I watched the bubble episode where like Ruby was like, I really wanted to meet her and stuff like that. I think I might know who Rose Court is, and it involves the 4 diamonds. I actually think that maybe Rose Court was a diamond at one time, and she rebelled, and that's what caused this whole intergalactic war that happened, trying to show them that gems can be themselves and lives in peace, or some type of thing. I don't know. It's just a little iffy. I think that Rose, they kind of like make Rose like this big ordeal.
Yeah.
And they also like, a lot of people know who Rose Quartz is, and like they're going after Rose Quartz. Yeah. So I feel like she's a big important part of the whole diamond thing. I think she was a diamond at one time and she was excommunicated or something happened. But that's just my theory. I don't know. But yeah, that's some of my theories.
So, I mean, you have interesting theories, and we like what's funny, right? Is there's a lot of mixed narratives.
Yes.
In this show. From Steven and the Crystal Gems perspective, Rose is seen as this like nice, great person who like loves Earth and everything. But from every single like gem from the homeworld, they see her as like a monster. Like Eyeball or Ruby Eyeball, whatever you want to name them, in the bubble episode, he specifically points out, he's like, you're crueler than rose quartz. You're cruel. Like, now, obviously, rose quartz led this rebellion against the other gems, and they succeeded. To the point where they all got the heck out of Dodge somehow. Something caused them to run away. And we don't quite know how or what that is. But all the gems have a negative viewpoint on Rose Quartz. She's essentially like enemy number one in the gem world. And I'm trying to find a specific thing. Yes, okay, no, they confirm it. So they confirm it. And I don't know what exact episode they confirm it, but in the bubble episode, he does say that Homeworld, it's confirmed, Rose shattered Pink Diamond.
Yeah.
Which again throws into this whole confluffle. Because I was pretty sure Jasper mentioned it before. Jasper used to be Pink Diamond, part of Pink Diamond Army.
Yeah.
And you see how Amethyst is with Yellow Diamond. Where it's like, she's perfect, she's beloved, she's the perfect. They kind of view them as like their mom, is the best way to say it. Like, they're like their parent or their masters or whatnot. And Ruby,
there's also there's also a hint to me that there might be slavery going on in Homeworld. Some slavery.
100%. Like, that's
because Ruby goes to like stab the because that's what I kind of got the hint, because Ruby goes to stab Steven. He's like, I'll probably get my own pearl. And I was like, slaves?
The thing is, and this is something that we've known for a bit, but that's like, it's through context that we know. Pearls are essentially like servants to everyone else.
Yeah.
Like we hear when the Peridot's doing like the little like log episode where you're hearing her talk about her life. She's like, they have me cleaning like a pearl. It's like that. Or like whenever Amethyst refuses to accept anything that Pearl does, and is like, you're just a pearl. You can't do what I do. And then she does, and she's like, what the heck? It's like, gems are not exactly what they're cut and make to be. They can be many things. And you're 100% right. The whole issue and episode with Amethyst in this season, right? Or who else? Who else is it? No, I think it is an Amethyst. I'm not sure if anyone else has the thing, but Amethyst always has this issue of like what I am meant to be, because they said like the second a gem busts out of the ground, they know 100% what they are and what they're supposed to be. They know exactly where they fit in the society. But when you have misfit gems like Amethyst is, like she was overbaked or underbaked, however you want to call it, they don't come out with that form. They don't know what they're supposed to be. They just know that they're supposed to be something, and so they feel lost and forgotten. That is a legit thing in the societal hierarchy, which you know what's funny? You may want to do some visiting of the older episodes. Any episode that Ronaldo is in. Because in this season, one of Ronaldo's crackpot theories was true. In one of the episodes, and I think it's season 1 or season 2, he yells out this idea about this galactic diamond authority. He yells it, he's like, this is exactly what I thought it was, a part of the Galactic Diamond Authority. Like, he yells it in like the first or second season. And when after this season, people are like, hold up, Ronaldo was right. And then there was another episode where it's the Sadie's episode where Sadie's supposed to sing. There's a frame where Ronaldo is about to go on stage with a blackboard, and if you pause that blackboard, it has like drawings, and one of the drawings, people are like, that looks like Yellow Diamond. That looks like yellow diamond. So, who knows? I haven't ever paused to look at all of his things. It could be more to it. And I love it. And it's great. But yeah, the issue that has caused in this show, right? This season causes a lot of people to sit here and try to like guesstimate what's happening. There was a theory go around once we heard like Rose shattered Pink Diamond, that that chest that's in Lion's Mane. People believe the shattered Pink is in that chest. Like she keeps it away from everyone else. There are other theories about like the ideas of corruption. That it's like, what are these corrupted beings? Who are they? How did they get that way? And what's going to stop it? This season started the downfall of the Theory Society of just spiraling like episodes out weekly of this. And combine that with how it was being released at the time, it gave so much time for people to just sit there and just like come up with whatever they can. And it's great. I do want to quickly shout out, say this before we finish up the episode, because I could continue talking about the show forever. We got to see a lot of my favorite gem this season. I'm a big fan of Peridot. Peridot is my favorite. And a lot of people in the community believe and support the idea that she is on the spectrum, like she's a representation of like autism, like an autism person. Because you see it with like her not understanding emotions, her like failing to get stuff, comparing things that are not like quite there. And then also becoming like hyper fixated on the camp thing to the point where she watches the same episode 58 times, then finds out later there's different seasons. She has like all these little things. She doesn't understand social cues. It's solid. She also can't understand how she fails sometimes, which people were like, I absolutely love her. I love her. And also, I believe it's this season we get some of the best. I call them Peridot faces. If you ever like are in the mood, just like Google image search Peridot faces, and there's so many like solid, just like little ones. I just absolutely love. Because she's like she has the super strong Green Goblin energy, and I just love it. And there's one I believe it's this episode in the kindergarten one where she's like a little frog, and it shocks me how hilariously adorable it is. She's like, yeah. Anyways, yeah, I just wanted to say that Peridot's my favorite. Love Peridot. She also has one of the best arcs in this season, I feel. Because she goes from absolutely hating Earth and everyone on it to straight up fighting against her diamond because she doesn't understand her logic. And I'm like, I like you, Peridot. Also, at the drill episode where she's drilling down and she learns, it's like, this is a gift. You give it to someone and then they go like, wow, thanks. And she's like, wow, thanks. Throughout the rest of the season, anytime someone does something nice for her, she responds with "Wow, thanks." Wow, and when she asks Steven, like, Steven, do you have any last words? And he's like, I love you, Peridot. And she's like, wow, thanks. Like she's like really like touched for the first time, and it's just like I'm like, dang, like that's just great. I like Peridot. And then there's also ships. Like the one thing about this series. People freaking ship everyone. People were shipping Peridot to permafuse with Garnet after the episode with the logbook, because how Garnet offered to fuse with Peridot for her to understand her more, and she couldn't go through with it, and people will like connect. It was in that episode and kind of like the rest of the season where people kind of make the semi-connection between the idea of fusion being both relationship and like physical relationships. And it's like, it also makes sense because like for someone with like on the spectrum in some degree, they may have a harder time making the physical connection necessary in order to connect with someone that way. and Garnet was just happy to like see that she was willing to listen to her or be open to her.
Mm-hmm.
And then whenever she's like, it doesn't make sense, why are you always like, it's like, I'm Pierre and I'm Perry and Pierre. I forget the two characters from the Pine episodes. And then it just clicks for her because it's all logical based and she likes it. So, all right, I'm done with spouting about Peridot and how much I love her. I could keep going though. She just keeps getting better. But Austin, you have any last things to say? Because we've been going on for over an hour. I didn't realize it's already been an hour.
Yeah,
I just like the show so much.
It's a good episode, good season this week. We do have a conundrum that we have to bring up.
Oh, yeah?
That there is a season 5 of this show, and it is not on Hulu.
Oh yeah,
but it is on HBO Max. So all 5 seasons are on there. So I'm actually going to start watching it on HBO Max, so then I don't have to like remember which season.
Do we have HBO Max, or do we have to read? Mm-hmm. Okay, I wasn't sure. I remember saying we stopped HBO Max for a bit because of the whole thing they did with removing animated shows, and I was pretty peeved about.
We never did anything about it. But actually, what's really cool is starting, I think, next week, AMC Plus content is going to be on HBO Max. On Max.
Oh, okay.
So we'll be able to watch Interview with a Vampire.
Oh, nice. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if only HBO wasn't a piece of trash and they would pay their writers and actors
everyone.
at this. At this point, we're going to have a global. We're going to have a global strike going on for every industry because all the corporations got so much to all this money that they're like, no, this is just how it should be. It's like, no. So, yeah. All right. Well, all right. That's good to know. I guess we gotta switch over to Max. I prefer Hulu, at least for now, until they raise the prices like they always do and then include password sharing. And then lives suck. But what can you do? We'll figure that out when that comes. But Austin, thank you all so much for stopping by and helping me and watching this season. We got next week is season 4. We got 5, and then we need to discuss Steven Universe Future and Steven Universe the movie and figure out how we're going to do that.
Okay.
We can easily combine Future and the movie together because Future is only 10 episodes or something like that.
Yes,
but we're going to need to figure all that out. Okay, no, Steven Universe Future is 20 episodes. Okay, it's more episodes than I thought it was. I remember only 10 episodes, but we'll figure it out. We'll do all that stuff as it comes. But Austin, thank you so much for stopping by and joining me for this episode. To everyone out there watching and listening, next week we'll do Steven Universe season 4. Yeah, cool. What a ride. Let's go to the stars. Till then, everyone, thank you so much for stopping by, and thank you all so much. Tune in.